Hello everybody, my name is Joey. I am part of the Chart Guys team. Been a trader and full-time trader and analyst for 7 years, over 20,000 hours. Here to talk some crypto. Obviously, huge time downside, huge liquidations across the space. Alts down 20+%, ETH down 20+% at the lows. Pretty spectacular downside. Hope everyone is certainly faring well out there. It's one of those times where there's a lot of opportunity, but you know that is coming at the cost of pain to many others. So we're going to go through, we're going to look at the charts, see what kind of damage has been done, see if this is a dip to buy, or talk about, what needs to be proven from here for bulls to regain any control, our tops in for the long term, the whole kit and caboodle. And yeah, that's that. So let's just go on and get to the charts. And we're looking at the Bitcoin monthly. So we obviously broke recent support, but as the case has been for a while now, if monthly 12 EMA is holding a support, then bulls maintain control, and it's a potential monthly bull flag. So at this point, we have to view EMAs more as membranes rather than hard levels, and that's something that I've gotten from Chart Guys Lamont just in terms of all support and resistance. So we're back above the monthly 12 EMA. We obviously pushed a little bit below, but we can look at the move off of the 2021 top. We danced around here for a couple months pushing below, and bulls were able to hold it and keep the show on the road. So now we've just got to go step by step to see, is this going to be similar? Are bulls going to be able to hang out near the highs and still well below our historical average pullback on a monthly stair step coming off of all-time highs? So the average is 38%. If you remove a big outlier from that data set of like 80 some odd percent, then it is 32%. So if we measure from the stair step break now, we're at 17%. So could be the low from a statistical standpoint, or if we're going to get to the average, we could have a decent bit of more downside here. But again, we're just when fear ramps up, when emotions come into play, it's best just to lean back on clear if-then statements, clear trends, and work through it that way. It sounds tough because you want to let your emotions run through, but that's why we have something where we can objectify what's going on, take out subjectivity, and define things moving forward. So right now, from a bigger picture perspective, Bitcoin is still holding on well. That's not the case for many alts, including Ethereum, which we'll get to, but Bitcoin's holding on well. The reason I mention the alts is because oftentimes we see alts lead the way in the space, and if Ethereum gets 6-month consolidation underway, which is very close to, then odds of Bitcoin following suit will increase. So we'll talk about that a bit more as we go on. Let's talk about those if-then statements. Is this going to be a bear break without follow-through? What do bulls need to prove to get that done? Step one is going to be a 4-hour trend change. So let's zoom out a little bit. This was our support down here at 53.5K. Flushed it by a good little bit, but we are now back above. I say good little bit, 8.5%. So if we're going to lack follow through on that, what do we need? We need a 4-hour trend change. What are we looking for on this bounce? We're looking for a 4-hour lower high. Anything below 59.6K would be one. Watching 12 EMA for resistance. So step one of saying, all right, bulls can breathe a little easier is going to be confirming a 4-hour uptrend. At this point, just due to the sheer percentage move off of the low of 13.5%, bulls are hopeful that they can form a 4-hour higher low once this bounce tops out. If they get the 4-hour trend change, then we zoom out to the daily time frame and we look for the same thing. And for me, a 4-hour trend change from here would be the first baby step of, okay, this is a bear break without follow through, but ultimately bulls are going to need to do it on the daily time frame for us to say, okay, this is more truly a bear break without follow through, because coming from such extreme RSI levels, it's not surprising to get some type of spring back. And not just oversold RSI levels, but liquidations. When you see those big, just bog candles that print so fast, that's not people necessarily wanting to sell. That's people being forced to sell. And what you want to see in the crypto space when you get clear liquidations is you need that to be the low. That's got to be the low. If you go back down through that with any type of acceptance below, that's when you say, all right, things are really shifting out here. So we're just going to go one step at a time. We'll start with the 4-hour, then we'll go to the daily, and then at that point, weekly is going to need an uptrend. We have not regained a weekly uptrend since we lost it back here, confirming the weekly downtrend, and we were looking for it. This was a big enough bounce for it, and we ended up going to lower lows on increasing volume. As we know, if the less likely scenario is going to play out, increasing volume likely going to be needed for that. So we'll just go one step at a time. If we get the daily trend change to say, all right, monthly 12 EMA is really holding, then we'll be back to where we were here of looking for a weekly trend change. Got to retrace 50% of the weekly move and try to regain a weekly uptrend. So that's bull hope because, most of us here are crypto bulls. If you've got bear hope, you're saying, all right, the Fed's projected to, have some rate cuts in September. Historically, when we get rate cuts, it leads to big pullbacks in the S&P 500. If you haven't watched the last stream, go back and watch that. There was some talk about broad market correlation and talk about what happens when the Fed pivots. A lot of people are rooting on the Fed pivot, but that's not what you want if you're a bull. Once the Fed pivots, that's when the show is over. So Fed hasn't even pivoted yet, and we've got some pretty notable downside in the market. I mean, the VIX was up over 100% today, which didn't even happen during the COVID dump. Last time we had the VIX with a 100% day was the winter 2018 dump. So exceptional downside. And the question will be, and this is important for Bitcoin. I know a lot of folks that are into crypto are not so into correlations with the broad market, and there's a lot of discourse around like if it's a thing, is Bitcoin just a high beta tech stock, yada yada yada. Well, it's correlated. I'll just tell you. You can pull up the charts and look yourself. It comes and goes like all correlations, but it's no coincidence that the broad markets are melting down and crypto is melting down as well now. But the reason I bring this up is if you look at NQ, we're testing monthly 12 EMA. That could hold, and the show could go on the road. If the NASDAQ holds monthly 12 EMA, if the S&P 500 holds monthly 12 EMA, then the status quo remains of how things have been off the 2022 lows. If those hold and the status quo remains, then Bitcoin is more likely to also hold its supports and have its status quo remain. If we lose monthly 12 EMAs in the broad market, then that's when we need to batten up the hatches in crypto a little bit more. So that's kind of like what are bulls hoping for after getting punched in the gut overnight. And this is, I wouldn't call it a sucker punch because it's not typically sucker punches. When we refer to that, it's, you're in an uptrend and then you just get the sucker punch off the top. And then the next thing is, can bears confirm the downtrend from there? This isn't a sucker punch. It's more of a, do we have a sustained shift in the markets underway? If we're going to have that and have people really start to panic, then we'll get a daily lower high and lower low and go to lower lows there. So we're going to find out a lot this week, and it could take some time to shake out just with how big the ranges are. I mean, Bitcoin was down 15% at the low of day. So we'll go one step at a time. Bitcoin's holding on fine, which isn't surprising. Fine. It's just relative to peers. It isn't surprising because we got Bitcoin dominance continuing to go up, pushing to new highs, as the case has been for months now at this point. 2-week 12 EMA is the guide on Bitcoin dominance. As long as that is the case, it's doing better than peers. So someone who's not doing so well is Ethereum. We can see this is a very different looking chart. Our support from the low of July on Bitcoin, when we look at that, we're back up and over. Ethereum, way below. We still got to go 10%, 13.95% to get back to that low. And this is on the heels of ETH BTC pushing to new lows. So we know we've got yearly consolidation underway here. Bulls are hoping that it's a bull flag. And I keep saying the same things. We need a weekly uptrend on ETH BTC if we're going to see anything. We've seen nice moves, inability to get the uptrend. Nice move, inability to get the uptrend, you get the picture. And ultimately, this just ended up being another monthly 12 EMA rejection down to new lows. So it's also another good example of how we need to take what the charts are giving us, not what we want from the charts. I know a lot of folks were very bullish on ETH BTC testing monthly 12 EMA, looking for a monthly lower high. But you got to ask yourself, if we're looking at any other chart, what would you anticipate here? I was open to us breaking up and over. We had an equilibrium that made it clear where we didn't have to predict or make any decisions of whether or not that was going to happen. Once that broke bare, that was our monthly lower high being set, and then we just got smoked. So let's go back to ETH USD. It's going to be the same framework for most every coin right now. When you have fear ratchet up, correlations sync up, and it's a fun environment to trade because you can really leverage relative strength and relative weakness, and it's very easy to see who's relatively strong and who's relatively weak. If we look at ETH here, it is further from the 4-hour 12 EMA than Bitcoin. That's a little bit weaker. If we look at Sol, it's up testing its 4-hour 12 EMA. That's a bit stronger. You want to be buying higher lows on your stronger names that are still holding structure. Doesn't mean you can't buy them on the super weak names like Ethereum or I think Link. Also, we were watching that 2-week falling wedge on Link. Got absolutely smoked out. So, these weaker names, you can be looking for higher lows on them, but you have to respect that that is a higher risk, higher reward play with a lower probability of working. Pegging the shift between relative weakness back into relative strength is one of the toughest things to do in the market. So jumping around a little bit here, let's go back to Ethereum. We'll get some levels. So 4-hour bounce is underway. Anything below 29.24 going to be a lower high. Got to regain a 4-hour uptrend to step one to shifting anything. Then we got a ton of room for a daily lower high. And the big question will be, are these liquidation lows in? Is this the low for the next month? That's what it needs to be if bulls want to not get really spooked in the markets here. These lows have to be in. Definitely have seen really nice bounces off of the lows. And that brings to the forefront another important just kind of sentiment here. It's very easy to be looking at these charts and say, oh, wow, 16% bounce off the low or 30% dump off the top. And these are times where experienced traders are making their months, making their quarters, doing really well. They wait for times like this to capitalize on the exceptional volatility, but they put in the time to have the comfort and skills and experience to be able to really capitalize in this environment. If you're in year 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4, 5 of your career, if you're in years 4 and 5, you should be, if you desire to play capitulation setups, you should be in here with at least some size, like at least some position, but like smaller size. It takes time until you're in here ripping big size and having massive days on moves like this. So if you're earlier in your career, there's nothing wrong with observing. The worst thing you could do is try to get into a position in an environment that you're not fit to navigate yet, and then you get smoked. You set yourself back, your confidence gets crushed. It's totally fine to watch and learn. Like when I was trying to learn how to play data days in the broad market, I just watched the FOMC for well over a year, didn't place a single trade, then started doing it with one share, then started doing it with one micro contract, and now they're consistently my biggest days. It took years to build up that skill set to it. So I just say this because I know I felt the, not like shame, but just like I should be doing more. Look at all of this opportunity, in the earlier stages of my career. And I just don't want anybody else to feel that, because this is the big leagues action. And I'm talking about scaling into capitulation and all this and that, because the beauty of it is you don't got to get the bottom. If liquidation lows are going to be set and we're not going back down there, there will be plenty of opportunities to look for higher lows with a stop loss where your risk is defined. You're not trying to battle forced liquidations and all this and that. So just a little note there on that. And what an example would be is if you said, all right, I'm sure as heck not getting in there. I'm going to wait for bulls to put in a bottom. I'm going to wait for some consolidation. You say, all right, I'm going to take an entry on ETH, looking for a higher low, see if bulls can get the trend change. You got a clear stop level, and it's much more manageable than just stepping right in front of the steamroller and hoping you don't get squished. So we had a Chart Guys member ask a question in chat here that we'll kind of talk about because it's a bit applicable. He had some long-term holdings, sold them up around 3,800 for ETH, 65,000 for Bitcoin, and kind of wondering, how to go about navigating stuff like this. And if you're working from a swing perspective, you want to be selling euphoria and you want to be buying fear. Can I say that lows are in and now's the time to buy and put a stop below there? No, I could never say that because I'm not a financial advisor. But in terms of technical analysis, what are the probabilities of this and that? Obviously cannot give any certainty on anything like that, but we can say the general trends are you want to be buying fear. You want to be selling euphoria. So this is fear. VIX at 100% on the day is the definition of fear. So whether that means you're scaling in or looking for a higher low from here, that's up to you. But these are the times where you have increased probability of seeing some upside, because who's left to sell after everybody gets liquidated on a 20% down day at the end of a stair step down nearly 40% on ETH? These are the times where it is fearful and you want to be looking for stuff. But if we look at ETH, let's turn off log and zoom this out a little bit more. We'll look at the 6-month EQ that we have been talking about the potential of. Here we are, looking like it's beginning to shape up. We could do this, and you don't want to push your whole stack in at 2,500 and have us pull back to 1,000 again and be getting smoked out on that. So you got to have stop losses, but you got to accept that nobody knows if this is the bottom. Nobody knows if tops are in for the market, Fed's going to pivot, and we've got a 2-year bear market coming. If that happens, then I anticipate crypto's going to go a lot lower. But what you can do is buy a higher low, put your stop in, hope for a trend change, sell some of your position, and then have a risk-free shot at, maybe this is a quarterly higher low on Ethereum off of 12 EMA to stay above the 50% retrace of the quarterly move or 6-month move. All you can do is give yourself a shot, and you need those smaller time frame navigation skills to be able to position within that. So that's what we got going on with Ethereum. Litecoin breaking its, let me turn log back on, breaking its quarterly equilibrium to the downside. Just going to trust our downtrends here. Weekly downtrend. Lots of room for a daily lower high. Lots of room for a 4-hour lower high. 4-hour 12 EMA resistance. Same deal as everybody else. Let's talk about Sol, because Sol's kind of interesting here. So Sol, we know we had our EQ. Broke bull, no follow through, rejected from the highs of 2024. Ended up being a laggard bear and now has broken bear without follow through. So you could maybe, let's go to the 3-day, see if we can draw a megaphone of sorts. Yeah, we can. We can draw something like that. It's not the prettiest, but the thing I care about with Sol here is similar to Bitcoin. It's one of the only alts that is holding on well structurally, but similar to Bitcoin, we're back up above the supports here. We know we have the ETF stuff coming down the pipeline, and let's check it. Did Sol BTC hold support? Yeah, so this is what Sol bulls want to see. You want to find an altcoin with a strong BTC ratio. That's what we have on Sol, so that's just more little ammo for Sol holding on well here. But the two things, getting back above support and looking at the monthly, we're still holding monthly 12 EMA, hanging out at the highs. Could we see a 6-month EQ, just like it's looking like shaping up with Ethereum? Absolutely, but burden of proof is on bears for that. So we know it's a stronger bouncer, already at 4-hour 12 EMA. If you're looking for a 4-hour higher low buy, looking for these liquidation lows to be in for a while, Sol's a decent crack at it right now. We've also got some other alts kind of doing their own thing. If we look at, who is it, TIA? Where'd you go? Thought you were here somewhere. There it is. TIA, that's in a league of its own here. Already got a little dinky 4-hour uptrend. I probably won't call it that. We'll just say 12-hour bounce, looking for a 12-hour lower high off the 12-hour 12 EMA. But that's a strong name. Doesn't mean you can't be, just because it's not a 4-hour uptrend, doesn't mean you can't be looking for a 4-hour higher low. So TIA is doing its own thing. SHIB is trying to get green on the day. I mean, it's still doing what everybody else is doing, but total junker getting green on the day before others, but still just in weekly downtrend. Still in a weekly downtrend doesn't mean you can't play a bounce, but if we get a daily trend change from here, then we'd say weekly bear flag confirmed without follow through, potentially looking for a weekly inverse head and shoulders to try to shape up a quarterly higher low, which is the most likely scenario. So SHIB was strong. ICP, another one of our stronger bouncers, another total junker. Or it's not as much that it was a stronger bouncer, but if you look at that flush wick, still 15%, but a lot smaller than a lot of other alts that we've got here. Still holding the July lows. That's a little relative strength there. So you can be looking for a 4-hour higher low on ICP. And that's the main stuff I'm looking at. So to talk about something here, I don't know if it was last stream or the stream before, but we were looking at FET. Let me get rid of this wedge because that is dead. So FET went to new lows of July before everybody else. Had a few coins following. And the whole thing with that was the more coins that lose the July lows, the greater the odds that others are going to follow. Now, most altcoins have followed. This is a concept to drill into your head in the crypto space because we see it again and again and again. And that's why the crypto space is so fun to trade, because you have all these alts. And whether you're trading them or not, you can use them for clues to increase your probabilities of any type of trade. So we've now seen this play out where we got the early clue from FET, and I don't remember the other names off the top of my head that already broke it, but now we're going to do the reverse to the upside. If we start to see coins reconfirm 4-hour uptrends, that'll increase the odds that other coins are going to follow. So always looking for clues, always looking for clues in the space, and be looking for SOL at this point to be one of the earlier coins to potentially confirm a 4-hour uptrend just because of its ratio strength. But we'll go step by step. And conversely, if we start to see 4-hour bear flags confirm and names go to 4-hour lower lows, then that will shift the odds that others will follow. So always looking for clues. All right, let's hop into chat. Actually, give me a moment. I got an NQ short on. I got to see if I need to do anything with. That's a 15-minute downtrend, potentially without follow through. That could be an hourly higher low. I'm gonna walk down my stop. Give me a second. Let's see here. I'll go 18,188. Giving a little bit of wiggle room on a super volatile day like this. But this, I guess we'll just talk about it briefly before we get into chat. Working towards 4-hour 12 EMA, looking for a 4-hour lower high, and had a 1-minute stair step up into it. And this is the type of thing where you just know what you're looking for. Like I said early morning in the chat, if we get to 4-hour 12 EMA, I'm going to get an aggressive short on NQ, and that allowed me to hold on to my dip buy long more because I had conviction to the upside. And then once you have your setup start to come, I didn't know it was going to be a 1-minute stair step, but 1-minute stair step into the 4-hour 12 EMA, 15-minute overbought conditions. That's the confluence that you look for on a trade. And when I say I didn't know it was going to be a 1-minute stair step, that means like I don't know if it's going to be a 5-minute rising wedge, 1-minute stair step, 5-minute stair step, whatever. You don't get to choose what the market's giving you. You have to listen to what the market is giving you and then act accordingly. But yeah, I've scaled out a good bit, and now I'm just going to walk stops on the rest, looking for that. But anyways, we'll get into crypto. Nobody cares about the NASDAQ. Nobody cares about the NASDAQ. All right, let's check out. Hello, everybody. Hi. Let's look at INJ. I haven't looked at INJ in a minute. So once darling, now monthly downtrend. Well off of all-time highs. At this point, 74%. Log will make it look a little bit more extreme than what it actually is from a relative sense. But if you're in from anywhere up here, you don't care about the relative sense of all the people who cashed out from down here. So we got to just respect that we're in a monthly downtrend. So it doesn't mean that we're not looking for like a 6-month higher low, a quarterly higher low, but got to regain some uptrends to have any real interest. Got a weekly downtrend, tons of room for a weekly lower high compared to 28.11. In a daily downtrend, tons of room for a daily lower high compared to 26.18. In a 4-hour downtrend, 4-hour 12 EMA rider like many other names, it's a comparable bounce, but I mean, this is not a convincing bounce in the scheme of things. Anything below 1845 going to be a 4-hour lower high. Same framework as everybody else. Got to regain a 4-hour uptrend daily, weekly for anything to really shape up. And it's same thing up to the weekly, but it's different from many other names because we're already in a monthly downtrend. So back burners are all burnt up. Maybe weekly oversold could be the next one, but that's ways away. We won't worry about that right now. So it's tough. It's one of our weaker names. It has been for a good while. I mean, we were all over trying to get a bottom on this thing. Where was it? I think it was closer, like monthly 12 EMA. Yeah, sashaying around there, and it ain't due. So just got to take it for what it is. What's up to here? And what's up, Paula? I didn't notice that. It was you up there. Hello. Ryan, howdy. I don't know about that. 93 mischief. I'm working for it, though. Or I'm working towards it. And I did bang NVDA this morning. Let's pull up that chart real quick. So this was... I'm really loving volume profile for targeting, but throughout all of here, I resisted buying. I had FOMO here because I sold half my swing on the morning of CPI here up in the 36s pre-market. I stopped out the other half and the loss of 115. And I said, I'm going to be patient. I'm waiting for 92, and I banged it. So that was an easy one, though. It's not always that easy. And I'm saying it's easy in terms of the way it played out. Because I just bought and it went up. Sometimes you gotta dance, but no dancing for that. And then NQ, I didn't get the bottom this morning. I got this 5-minute higher low. So I missed this whole move up because I was focused on NVDA. Got the 5-minute higher low, sold up here, shorted a little bit higher, and now we'll see what this does. I'm probably done for the day, but definitely loving oversold bounces. It's my favorite. Let's see, what do we got? XLM. Where did that go? XLM BTC ratio. Let's see what we got. Total stinker. Down at all-time lows. Monthly downtrend, monthly bounce, trying to get underway, potential monthly bear flag. And if it's going to see follow through, got to get a weekly uptrend confirmed. So weekly 12 EMA resistance all the way down. You get up and over in an EMA reversal play. You look for that trend change there. So if bulls on XLM BTC can get above 181, that'd be the weekly uptrend. That would be monthly bounce follow through. Then we'd be looking to monthly 12 EMA, looking for the lower high there. My voice is starting to go. I've kind of been battling a bit of a bug. What up, Dan K? Do I consider Monster or MicroStrategy? I always say Monster. MicroStrategy as a fee-free option, as a pseudo-leverage BTC play? I mean, it is, but the spread is pretty crappy on it. So I don't trade it often, to be honest. When you got a 1-minute time frame that's skipping around like that, it kind of takes away one of my top edges of being a good small time frame navigator. You compare that to like Mara, you have a lot more liquidity here. You can stop out a lot cleaner. So as far as a swing, MicroStrategy is pretty good for that, and probably better than the miners because it's more of a pure BTC play. But in terms of just playing volatility, I would always look to the miners over Bitcoin. Hold on a second, I gotta get some water. Sorry about that. Let's see, 94 clips. What are y'all thinking? More down or side or up? It's going to be one of those. I think we get some bounce from here. I don't think the VIX sustains much after going 50% Friday and then 100% today. I don't think it sustains that. I mean, that's exceptional. We're at the upper range of VIX's historical range-bound nature. So I think we get some bounce from there. I don't know. From there, I do not know, but I'm looking for 4-hour uptrends to confirm from here. If they don't and we see follow through to the downside, then that's when you gotta be a little spooked as a bull. So that being said, aggressive bears, you're looking for 4-hour lower highs. You're looking for 4-hour lower highs, and we got a decent low pullback here on Bitcoin. So let's see. That is a 15-minute downtrend confirming. Could be the first sign of the 4-hour lower high, but we'll probably need an hourly downtrend in this context. I feel like often the ratios for the nested timeframes, I'm finding a lot more comfort with something between like a 1-4 and 1-6 ratio, as opposed to like the 1-16 of a 15-minute to 4-hour linking up. All right, though, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I'm losing my voice. So thank you all for tuning in. Hope everybody's faring well. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. Helps with the algos. And if you got questions or concerns or anything, drop it in the chat. We need people to, or the comments on the video once it goes up to YouTube. We got all these crazy algo spam bots we need to battle back. So I'll chat with you in there if you make any comments. But all right, farewell. Hope everybody's faring well, and I will see you Thursday, I believe, for another stream. Maybe we'll do another one sooner, just because the volatility is here right now, and we'll be getting updates every day. So stay on top of Dan's Twitter, stay on top of my Twitter. We'll be talking about these things. Let me see here. If you're not following me on Twitter, at JungleFunk_, posting stuff like the NVDA thing, crypto updates, this and that. And obviously everybody knows Dan's Twitter. All right, thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time.